Back at the Violent Gentleman pop-up at Lids in Union Station, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, North America, world, with the guy who invited us here, Mike Hammer from Violent Gentleman. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
We are so happy that you let us come to this and told us about this, and it's amazing. We're surrounded by a bunch of dope shit.
The people at Lids, I essentially am the guy that invited you to my friend's party. So my friend was having a cookout and I was like, oh man, I forgot I got this buddy in town. I should invite him and then I can kill two birds with one stone. So that's kind of where we're at. The people at Lids did this incredible pop-up. We kind of just piggybacked on and set it up and they did all the hard.
So Pete, did you know this? Because now I'm realizing what he just said is no one here fucking likes you, and they are asking, who are these guys who are changing the music?
I do think for our sake, that's the coolest person to be. It's like you just showed up at the party and people are like, who invited these guys?
Oh yeah,
and it's like you got a little mystery attached to you.
For sure, they're like, oh, tie-dye beanie guy.
Plus, if you're like the person who the friend invited, it's like the party's already happening, and so you're like you're just sliding in there.
But don't you worry that I mean, I've brought people to parties before, and I've been like, what if this person makes a bad impression on folks?
That's a good thing. That's that means he trusts us.
Yes.
Because if you're not inviting somebody, you're like, oh, I don't want to invite this person because they might fuck up the party. And somebody's like, who invited this guy?
All right. Yes. Well, then first topic of conversation, why do you trust us?
I know. I thought you were going to be like, hey, right away. Okay, just real quick, we'll go around the room. I want to know who you're voting for in the next election.
No. We've been trying to get Jeff Skinner to change Between Two Stalls to a political debate show. Because
I was like, the skills competition, if it ended in either a debate or a spelling bee, if it ended in a spelling bee, it would be an incredible piece of content.
I know that a lot of people get flack for debate me bro culture. I don't participate in it.
I'm with you.
But I am a little entertained when when Aaron Rodgers does his Travis Kelce will never talk about vaccines with me. And it's like, dude, 3 years ago, if someone told me, I'd be like, why would two professional athletes be challenging each other to conversations about medicine?
I fully agree. Somebody went back. I forget who it was. There's somebody in politics that everybody was fired up about. And one of the comedians was like, can we go back to when we didn't even know who anybody was?
Right.
I didn't know who was on the president's cabinet. I didn't know who was that,
Dude,
let me go back to just watching sports.
A great video I saw on Instagram was when Biden was elected. The person was wearing a hat that said anyone but Trump, and then they see Biden get elected. They're like, oh, phew, and they changed their hat to a hat that just says the president sucks. You're never supposed to care too strongly and love the president.
Well, people treat the politics like sports now, where it's you have to be on one side and you have to root for your team vigorously and unapologetically.
Oh no, I mean to get political, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a Leafs fan who's no, I know the Leafs suck. We suck. We're still better. I would not want to be a fan of whatever though.
No, name someone I wouldn't want to be a fan of.
If it's a team or a politician?
A team.
Okay.
Team.
I would not want to be a fan of I mean, the go-to one is the Wild because
really
we've endlessly been kind of bored with the Wild over the years.
Really?
Post Gaborik.
Okay.
I mean, and when
I want them to be good, and I want them to be good for their fans because Minnesota is an incredible hockey place.
The state of hockey.
And I love Minnesota,
but Minnesota deserves better than the Minnesota Wild.
Oh,
that's my stance.
That's what you guys are saying. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Just when it gets to the playoffs and you watch every series, I find myself using whichever series the Wild play as the one where maybe I take a little break there.
I mean, I guess the real answer to that question, though, is Arizona. As Sean's an Arizona guy, Coyotes guy, but and not to disrespect the Arizona Coyotes, but it's I would not want to be an Arizona Coyotes fan because you have to deal with so many headaches of people just making fun of you, the team, the arena, constantly bouncing around, constantly up in the air. So I wouldn't want to be a Coyotes fan.
That's fair.
You're a Ducks fan, and
I'm NHL neutral technically. Every team, come on in.
I just told people who you voted for.
I live in Orange County. Honda Center is 5 minutes from my house. So I do attend a lot of Ducks games.
Well, my first exposure to Violent Gentlemen was the Boston Bruins signed a man by the name of Matt Bolesky. And
I had dinner with him last night.
really?
Yep.
He showed up and he was everything he wore said Violent Gentleman on it. And I was like, I don't know what Violent Gentleman is, but I do know Matt Bolesky has a clothing company called Violent Gentleman because this guy lives in this stuff.
Yep.
And then it's one of those things, when like you hear a word that you're like, oh, I've never heard that word before. And then the next day you hear the word 3 more times and you're like, maybe this just is out there and I never really paid attention until now. Once I saw Matt Bolesky draping himself, wearing like driving in a Violent Gentleman wrapped car.
Yeah, he should have been.
I felt like more and more, like even over the course of like the next week, I was like, every hockey person has some sort of Violent Gentleman thing. What is this? And then I looked it up and I saw the story. And now Pete had been saying forever, he was like, Hammer? He's the man. And I was like, he's Violent Gentleman.
Yes.
Holy shit. And now here we are.
Here we are. This is great. Now we're hanging out in a train station doing a podcast.
It's a really nice train station. We had this conversation last night. We went to dinner at a restaurant in here in Union Station, and we were like, being from Boston, we were like, can you imagine going to South Station and having dinner and being happy about it?
Did you guys go to the chicken restaurant?
We went to the other one.
The sister restaurant.
Okay.
The Amaro.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
On the surface level, you're like, okay, the pop-up shop's in a train station. This is going to be grimy. And then you get here and you're like, this is the most artisan train station.
Yes.
This is amazing.
It's great. I love the story of how you started Violent Gentlemen. So if you can please just tell that for our listeners.
Matt Bolesky started Violent.
So my
Tell
friend,
us how you stole
my
the
friend
company from
Matt,
Matt
he grew up in
Bolesky.
Barrie, Ontario. Bolesky was here last night, and we had a great time. And then he was stoked that he follows a little bit, and then he's like, who's the Ducks All-Star? And I'm like, Frank Vetrano. And he was like, Frank the Shot? Yes. Like he was so hyped.
He called him Frank the Shot?
Called him Frank the Shot.
I was
that's
trying to get the nickname Frankie the Shooter
Oh.
to catch on when he
yeah,
made
yeah.
just because it's like Vetrano, it's
Yeah.
like Frankie the Shooter.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Try
stereotype
to work
that I
that.
didn't
It's
want to
very mafia.
Right, but it's just like no, he's got an amazing shot.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't even consider. Yeah, Bolesky would have been on those teams when Vetrano
with
came
Frank,
in.
yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Bolesky, we do want to get to the story of how Violent
We'll get
Gentlemen
there.
started.
We'll get there.
But Bolesky came in to replace Milan Lucic. Born on the same exact day,
Whoa.
June 7th, 1988, as
Weird.
Milan Lucic. Crazy shit.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's also weird, like, thinking about those two. I'm like, to me, Milan Lucic at this point must be 60 years old.
Right.
Like, the way hockey works, I'm like, I've known that man forever, via watching hockey. And then I'm like, he just turned 38. And you're like, oh, Lord.
That was like I used to be a big college basketball fan, and one day I realized that Jim Boeheim, the coach of UConn, was the same age as Levon Helm.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
You're like, huh.
Levon Helm should be 1,000 years old.
At this point, yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's just like Milan Lucic has not to say that Matt Bolesky wasn't power forward-esque in his days. Bolesky played very hard, but Milan Lucic played a style that probably aged him a lot
100%.
more
That's
than
true,
it
too.
would age Matt Bolesky.
But it's also like if you're a 19-year-old who loves hockey and loves the NHL, and you see a 19-year-old who's playing in the NHL, they are an advanced 19. Like they're doing shit. As a 19-year-old pedestrian, you ain't doing shit. I was living with my mom.
I never thought about that.
My friends in high school were impressed and devastated when we realized Patrice Bergeron was 5 months older than us, and we're in high school buying last row tickets to see Patrice Bergeron play hockey.
100%.
Like you think of the average 18-year-old right now, and then think of Connor Bedard, miles apart.
Yeah.
And then when Connor Bedard is 35 years old, those 35-year-olds are going to be like, damn, I cannot believe I'm the same age as that guy.
Dude, there was a very specific time that I was talking about Kevin Bieksa, who's the sweetest dude ever. He still lives in Orange County. He's amazing. But I was watching the Ducks, and I was like, oh, man, Bieksa, it ended up being his last season. I was like, he's kind of lost a step. I'm like, this guy is so old. Whatever. And I look, I'm like, he's 6 months younger than me. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? No. Oh man, all right.
Bieksa, an all-time turnaround, like an Alex Rodriguez type turnaround.
I'm glad you said that.
From a hateable player to an awesome media personality post-career. Like, I hated Kevin Bieksa when he was a player. He's one of my favorite media guys.
There's only two players that I like. Sagan, when he was younger and everything, I was like, he just like he's getting a ton of attention and everything. You can't really tell how he's gonna be with the media and everything, and he really like is grown into being an awesome dude and everything. But there's only two players that I truly, when covering, was like, that guy's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
James Neal.
Oh, okay.
And Kevin Bieksa, but only for half of a series where his team was losing the Stanley Cup final. And in hindsight, like everything I saw of Kevin Bieksa after that and every story I heard after that was like, oh, of course, he seems like the sweetest guy in the world.
100%.
And that taught me to not actually judge these people by how they are in a 20-second media clip where they're going out and trying to win a Stanley Cup and they're being asked questions about like, are you guys trying hard enough? I'm sure they want to be like, go the fuck away, dude.
Yeah, Bieksa was actually very dialed back in that moment.
Right, he could have
He could have let it go.
Yeah.
And now probably would. I mean, I think that barrels down to, though, you have so many players that live in the middle and never get too heated and never get too, like, where I like the people, like, if they look like an asshole somewhere, it's probably because they're just a passionate, awesome person with a personality.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so I think we're going to see that a lot where I mean, he's real good looking. I feel like at one point we're going to see Tom Wilson on TV and be like, oh, damn.
You know who else?
No one wants to hear this.
He just cares a lot.
People like Tom Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good
Makes
things
good
about Tom
impression.
Wilson.
See?
I like
Yes.
Tom Wilson. I like the
Yes.
player.
Yeah.
He's not
100%.
a goon. He's a good player.
Yep.
Who also has that edge to him. I've always liked Tom Wilson.
100%.
A little bit over the edge sometimes, but
By
if
the
that's
way,
the kind of player,
If
you're going to be.
if you play on the edge, you're going
Right.
to fall over.
Right,
sometimes.
exactly.
By the way, to fully reveal, to finish the thought and show that James Neal is probably a fine person, the only reason I was like, this guy's an asshole is because I was interviewing Jerome McGinley, and he was talking too loud in the background.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
was what made me be like, you know who's like a bad guy?
Yep.
James Neal.
If you don't have voice, volume, self-awareness, see you later.
Honestly,
One of
yeah,
my
write 'em off.
favorite stories from covering hockey was the night that Milan Lucic ran Ryan Miller.
One of the greatest media clips ever.
Oh, piece
I mean,
of
he
shit
ruined the
thing?
Sabres for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Maybe
He-
more.
After
Sorry,
the game,
Sean.
you couldn't get anywhere near Lucic's stall because credit to him, he made himself available and answered for it and everything.
Yeah.
And the crowd was a mile deep, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to get to that scrum. What do? I need to write a story. And I was like, I'm going to go talk to Tim Thomas and be like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Were you worried they're going to come for you now? Payback
yeah.
sort of thing. So I go and talk to Tim Thomas. He's super thoughtful, does say like, oh man, like I saw that. And I was like, I'm going to be paying a little closer attention during this
Yeah.
game. Like when
Yeah.
even when we have the puck. So I'm like, amazing. I go back to transcribe, hit play on the recorder. I can't get a word of, and I'm like this with Tim Thomas.
Yeah, yeah.
He is speaking into my recorder. It was
Yeah.
long ago enough that we used recorders, and all I could hear was Lucic from across the room being like, and I'm not doing an impression or mocking him, but him being like, well, yeah, I was just trying to. He was going for the puck, and I was like, motherfuck.
And you're like, how do I do this? Can I go find Tim again?
No, so
Can
then I
somebody
did
give me
like the
Tim's
douchey
number?
thing of like just tweeted like Tim Thomas told me after the game that he had to be on edge after that play or
boy.
whatever.
You had to paraphrase tweet.
The paraphrasing tweet, and then that just comes off as like, "Hey, I talked to Tim Thomas after the game."
100%. He had some great things to say. He didn't want me to share them with the public. It was kind of a me and him kind of thing.
And then every other person in hockey media is like texting each other, being like, "I don't know who that fucking kid is."
Yeah.
But who does he think he is with the Tim Thomas told me
Yeah.
bullshit?
Yeah, 100%.
A great one, final Milan Lucic story.
No, keep him going.
After it was reported he was signing with the Oilers, because it was like they were like, he's going to sign with the Oilers for 7x7 or whatever. And Lucic emailed me saying like, hey, this is bullshit. So I did Milan Lucic just told me this report is, quote, bullshit. And I thought I
Yes.
cooked, and like 3 hours later, he signed that exact contract with the Oilers.
No way. He set you up?
He didn't set me up. I think that he was it wasn't official yet. Everybody was like, this is happening. And I had done the like, hey, like, let me know if there's any updates kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he was right that he hadn't signed. It's just that I could have used a little yet at the end of.
This is
Yeah.
bullshit-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens. So like you young reporters and stuff, you learn that over the years of like, you get a little kernel and you think you're like, I got a scoop. And it's like,
Yep.
well, why don't you wait a few hours,
Yeah,
let it.
Or you got to ask the follow-up question.
Got to ask follow-up question. You got to ask multiple people.
Yeah, what's bullshit? The term, the year, like really get into the minutia with him,
Exactly.
knowing who you're talking to, and be like, what do we mean here, my man?
And that's how Hammer started Vinyl
Yes, I was
Gentlemen.
gonna say.
And so here we are. I'm detail-oriented.
Yeah. Tell us.
Please. So, like any good thing, I started selling shirts in the parking lot of hockey games. Was just making bootlegs, as you do. The bootleg game is insane now. I probably would be bigger if I started today now in the bootleg game, because we started in the bootleg game. We're slanging in the parking lot straight like duffel bags full of shirts. Sort of inspired by a thing in Boston with the dudes from Bridge 9 Records that they did Sully's brand.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it was.
Yeah.
And they were very like in parking
Huge.
lots, whatever.
Yeah.
And we had heard of that years prior, and then we're like, oh, we'll slang some for the Ducks, whatever, and then go into the games. And the Orange County Sheriff rolled up and was like, hey, what are you guys doing? And I was like, oh, we're selling shirts. Like, are you an XL? And he's like, oh, this is illegal. I got to just take all these from you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's it? He's like, yep, that's it. Just don't do it again. I'm like, super sweet dude. He ended up going and giving the shirts to the team and was like, people are selling bootlegs outside. Here they are. Some people from the team saw them and were stoked on the design and whatever, and were like, who's doing this, whatever. My friend that worked for the team was like, oh, are we mad about this? And some team people were like, no, this is awesome. Like, oh, they're like, oh, okay, then I know that guy.
That's a good friend.
Oh, very good friend that like did the question asking. That was like, oh, cool, I can connect you to him. And then we just from there we started making like a couple legit items and just sold 2 shirts and bought 4 and sold like and just kept that rolling. And now it's been 12 years.
Man,
That's amazing.
it is wild that it started as a bootleg thing, because you are right. Like, it's not like a one of one thing that you made yourself is so much cooler now than the coolest shirt that you could buy
100%.
at whatever store. So
100%.
what I like about Violent Gentleman though is it still has that feel. It still has
Thank
like,
you.
even though like it'll say Violent Gentleman on it, it does have
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like, where'd you get this, who made it kind of feel
and
to
we
it.
try to be, we have like our sectors. We have our big wild ones that say people want Violent Gentlemen, or we have like, we did this whole line with the Ducks of like these awesome player shirts of like photos and stuff, kind of like what, Mitchell and Ness is selling in here, great items. And we just put like tiny VGs on it. So we're like, at this point, like people will know, like everything doesn't need to be super wild and out there.
You
so.
have a very, very strong brand identity, and that's
you.
like possibly the coolest thing about the company. I think is just like,
Thank you.
You can spot a Violent Gentleman thing pretty
sure.
far away,
Absolutely.
and I love that.
And it creates like, we've had some guys on the Ducks who like, guys will come in and then our office is pretty close to where a lot of the guys live. And I told a player, I said, you'll get recognized in Orange County because somebody will say something about your hat before they know that you're on the Ducks. And he was like, oh, that's funny, like whatever. The guys love that, by the way. They're stoked to be able to just go to the grocery store and live. That night, he texted me. He's like, dude, I'm at a bar. And this guy rolled up to me and it's like, oh, I love your VG hat. Like, whatever. He's like, oh, thanks, man. Whatever. He's like, are you a big hockey fan? He's like, I am a big hockey fan. And he's like, text me right away. He's like, you fucker. This guy had zero clue that I'm an NHL player and just talked to me about hockey forever because
amazing.
of the VG hat. And he was wearing a VG hat. And like, we're boys now at the bar. I'm like,
That's incredible.
I'm like, this is great.
Have you seen the video of Manny Ramirez with the guy in the Red Sox hat?
No.
Oh,
Somebody
yes. Yeah,
either, I
yeah,
can't remember.
yeah.
Somebody either did that same thing to him, and it was Manny Ramirez, or like maybe Manny saw a guy wearing a Red Sox hat,
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, nice hat, man," and the guy just like looked back at him and was like, thanks.
He's like, I just bought it at Lids. It's a great fit.
Yeah, just like, stop talking about my hat, weirdo.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Mind
yeah.
that guy with
Business.
an incredible inside-out swing just complimenting my hat. Man, insane. Yeah, man. I mean, in sitting here in this setup and like Lids obviously has like worked with you guys very well to make all your shit fit in here cool. Like we've been podcasting and doing interviews and everything, looking around at this sea of dope shit. And
Thank you.
how many items do you guys make?
Oh my gosh, our ops guy is gonna kill me because we make so many.
Well,
And all
I
the
want-
time he's like, we need to stop. Hundreds.
The
It's-
reason I asked
it's
is
stressful.
like,
It's very stressful.
When I shop at VG, I'm stressed out.
I'm sorry, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get more into like an In-N-Out style menu where
It's-
you're
it's
just
not-
like, do
no,
I
it's-
want cheese or not?
It's not a you problem. It's a me problem because I have limited funds and I'm like I want everything.
I think
here.
we can work on that, guys.
yeah. So the reason I want to ask was like,
I can give you a gift card. We can let's just squash it. I'll sponsor the segment. What's the segment called?
this segment?
No, the shopping segment.
Oh, Pro Shop
Pro
Boys.
Shop Boys.
Pro Shop Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're sponsoring it.
We're
Lock it
gonna
in
do
right
a
now.
Canadian version called Washroom Wars.
Oh yes.
Because
Yes.
and then we just go in and I don't know what we'd actually do in the
Well,
thing.
we
Just
could
be like,
see, like-
I got Tic Tacs.
So oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were gonna go the route of because it's in Canada, you're gonna be like everything's 30% off because we're Americans.
Yeah.
We're buying in USD, so we're able to. The dollar goes a little bit further. Let's see what we can get here.
We have a bit where we refer to every time and date as US because of like
Yes.
the US Thanksgiving thing they do in hockey.
That's amazing because we have a joke where we constantly refer to things as USD. We'll be like, "That's in USD, right?" At the office, and everybody's like, "Yes, yeah, it's USD, bud."
American currency.
It hasn't happened yet, but I do know it's going to seep into our regular life where like automatically if I'm saying a time just from like writing, I always say like AM or PM.
Yeah.
9
I
a.m.
know
US.
at some point I'm gonna be like planning something with a friend, and I'll be like, "You want to meet at like 8 p.m. US?" And they'll be like,
And they're gonna be like, "Oh man, he's finally gone full media."
yeah. But the reason I asked about how many items you make is like, do you see pros and cons of fucking making everything and having like the 10 things that everybody knows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: we come out with new on our website. We come out with new product every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks we drop new items, and it's just become like it was one of those things where like, can we do this? We like challenged ourselves to do it. Now we've been doing that for like 2 years, and so new items are coming out every couple weeks. And I think the problem was we weren't killing products every 2 weeks. So now we're trying to get into that. We're like things that came out however long ago, we're killing them. Like you can't get them anymore. So get them while you can. We have like a Heritage Classics line of like these are always around. These are the first shirts we made, and those will stay. And then now we're kind of like trying to kill some stuff off.
So that's brilliant. It's you're stealing the idea from another Orange County-ish thing. It's called the Disney Vault.
Bro,
You're doing the Disney Vault, brother.
hey, don't get me started. I'm a Disney adult, so don't get going on.
Are
that.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
didn't-
live right there.
We live right there. I grew up in Orange County. It's like, and here's the thing: I will preface: we're not Disney adults like the TikTok of like the girl crying, hugging Goofy. Like I'm not there. I'm like
You're more of a Mickey guy.
I'm more of a guy like I'm a Mickey guy, classics. I'm like I go there, get a coffee, walk around. You know what I mean? Grab a
That's-
meal.
May as well.
Yeah, it's like it's just like a nice park that's by our house.
That's amazing. Honey, it feels like an Epcot night.
Yes.
That rocks.
Oh,
That's-
that's a genuine thing.
They don't
And-
have Epcot in the
No, no, no.
I've never been
Epcot's back
to-
east. You've never
Yeah.
been to a Disney property?
I know. I've been to Disney World.
Okay.
I've never done the California experience.
Come on
of
out.
Disney.
I'd love to take you.
Amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'd
love
love to take
LA.
Come on out. Let's take What Chaos on the Road.
I mean, we somehow the Frank Vetrano video we made
Yes.
made a strong impression on the Ducks.
Yes.
So they were like, "Whatever you want to do."
Yes,
And I'm
guys.
like, "Oh boy, careful what you wish for." But
Let's do it.
We
Yeah.
do want to do stuff with the Ducks because obviously we love Frank Vetrano. Pete
Yep.
was saying we should just make Frank Vetrano part of like everything we do.
Yes.
And be like the Frank Vetrano show. I did learn from making that video with him.
Yep.
He'll be able to do media.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, cause he
Yeah.
obviously was like joking around with us and everything,
Yeah.
but when he needed to do like the speak in this sentence, present this way, and everything,
Yeah.
he could do that shit in his sleep.
Ready to rock.
He can take instruction.
Pros,
Yeah.
bro.
We'll go to LA if we can do an East Coast like home and home in Portland, Maine.
Okay, can we do it this week?
Yes,
We're going to the Super Bowl.
We're going to the Super Bowl after this.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When we were putting this show together and everything, one of our asks was, "This sounds stupid, but can we go to the Super Bowl?" Because
Yes, I heard Media Week at the Super Bowl is incredible.
dude, the only this is a bad thing to say, like the only time in my TV career
Yep.
where I truly felt like I am dominating this shit
Yeah.
was Super Bowl week. Go there because that is
Yes.
where the people who are trying to be smart and not that I'm stupid, but like I am, but like that are trying to like get good football content and sit downs and everything. They're exasperated by like, why is it a fucking zoo over here and everybody's doing all this silly
Yes.
shit? It is a gold mine for grab ass and the silly shit, and you
Yes.
end up with 100 more ideas than you can even execute. It's amazing. So
I love this.
hockey
Stay
or not,
tuned.
we're gonna go out there and already got like a list a mile long of like, we'll be able to do this, we'll be able to do this. We're gonna do shit with the Knights. The Oilers
Yes.
can tie the record against the Knights, which will be
Oh,
amazing.
you'll be there for that.
Yeah,
It's gonna be incredible.
we
Oh,
are
wow.
so pumped. So much so we haven't gone out either night
What?
so far.
Haven't gone out yet.
Saving
Here.
our energy,
For tonight or for the
I
Super Bowl?
guess. Yeah,
For tonight and maybe the Super Bowl.
Wow, guys, I'm so
We're
excited
grinding,
for
brother.
This.
Yeah.
This is great.
yeah.
I might go to the Super Bowl now.
Please
Come
do
to the
it.
Super Bowl.
Please come with us.
It's a
Wow.
home and home.
Yeah, home and home,
Home and home.
Home and
the
home
Super
and
Bowl.
neutral location. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
what is more Super Bowl than neutral location?
That's right.
We'll do one at the Super Bowl this year. It's West Coast. It's Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Where's next year's?
It's a good question.
Toronto.
Okay, perfect.
That'd
would
be
rock.
amazing.
That would rock.
Hey,
How have you-
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. How have you liked all the weekend and everything thus far?
It's been awesome. Like we've done All Star. I don't know, the past like 5 or 6 probably. This is like, you could tell people were like, oh, it's going to be in Toronto, and I was kind of like, like it'll be the same. It's insane how much stuff is going on.
There's a lot going on.
Everywhere you walk, like we went and did the Gretzkys Basement.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, super cool setup the Gretzky family did. And then we're walking out, we're like, oh, there's a Mitchell and Ness barbershop. Okay, we like go in that, and then you're like, okay, Molson's doing. Okay, we're in here. Like you could just bop around and do It's like all corporate budget was blown this month. I'm like, this is great.
What was the coolest spot you hit?
Yeah, it's
What
fun.
was the coolest spot?
It's really fun. So having a good time.
Do you have a coolest spot that you've hit?
That I've hit here.
Yeah.
Gosh, it would be tough, but I'd probably have to say
The Violent Gentleman
Lids
pop-up
started
at Lids.
6 pop-up at Lids. If you're just meandering through the mall, here we are. I've got everything you need. Oxford pennants here, making custom pennants.
I'm glad you gave that answer. I was gonna try to save you from yourself in case you were like,
Appreciate it.
There's like a really good, I don't know what like the direct competitor with this would be.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It was amazing.
I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Great jersey selection. They did a couple collabs in there. I'm like, oh man, just come here, please. It's here
Incredible.
till tomorrow night.
Well, we're so glad you came and sat down with us and chatted with us, invited us here.
Let's
What a
do it.
guy. Thanks for having
We
us.
love you. Thanks so
Hey,
much.
Thanks for having me here, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.